So this morning I wake up at 4:45. I want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll have a coffee before. Sometimes I just want to go like totally fasted. So I go to my kettle and there's a little water all over my counter. I'm like, fucking kettle leaked, broke. So I had to stop what I was doing. At some point I went to Canadian Tire to buy a new kettle this morning.
Okay, yeah.
But one of the other things that I couldn't sleep properly is because there's someone cracking out on drugs between 12 and 6 a.m. Just yelling at the top of the
Here?
Yeah, just hooting and hollering and just having a brain malfunction, so I couldn't sleep. And then as I get outside, cops are right here trying to apprehend the guy. And he's harmless, but at the same time, he's just a mess.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't go to the gym this morning. My coffee screwed up and all that stuff. So I just did a quick treadmill, chin-ups, pull-ups.
And that was the morning.
And then my banded upright rows.
That's it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So
this is the first coffee?
Yeah, it's going to be the first coffee. Now you've got choices. So this is, have you heard of Royal or Organo before?
I have, yeah.
Have you had it before?
I have.
So do you know which flavor you've had before?
No, it's been like 6-7 years.
Oh,
I had
wow.
a friend of mine, Tom Swales, who's a very interesting character. Actually, I'd like to connect you guys. He's one of the top physios in Canada.
Okay.
Works with the Canadian Olympic team, and he's into, I think this might have been it here, the black one.
Well, if it was that long ago, it probably was, because this is their flagship.
I think it had like a golden colored box at that point in time,
Yes.
though. So it's a mushroom infused coffee.
Yeah, the reishi.
Yeah, the reishi mushroom, yeah.
So these are all black.
Yeah.
And then you can make whatever you want to it.
Yeah.
So the black is just their plain flagship. That's the one you probably had.
That's the one I'll go with.
Just in case.
Okay.
This is their newest one.
Yeah.
It's got cordyceps, lion's mane, and the reishi.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more of a mild.
Okay.
And then the king, which is like all organic. And this is like their medium roast. It's got the spores of the mushroom as well as the flowering body.
Oh, wow.
So you've got choices now.
Yeah. So interesting story. When I first tried this, he didn't tell me it. He's like, hey, come over for a coffee. So he was getting ready to start kind of selling it and promoting it and being a member of it.
Yeah.
And so we drank 2 cups of it and we're talking and I'm just like, we're like engaged and we're talking. I'm like, what's in this coffee? And he starts laughing. So that was his presentation. And that was my first introduction to it. And I was like, I feel so alert. And we were just like, cognitively, I was just like firing on all cylinders. And we're having this in-depth conversation. I literally stopped midway in the second cup. I'm like, what kind of coffee is this? Because I'm a bit of a coffee fanatic, right? And I'll tell you that story of how I got into coffee, which was actually in Maui, Hawaii, when I first got introduced to third wave coffee. And so anyways, that was my first introduction, but I haven't really drank it that much since then.
So did he try to pitch you? Because I'm not trying to pitch you. This is just an
He
offer.
wanted me to participate in learning more about it and then kind of bringing it to light, which I did for a while, and I drank it for quite a while. And, and then I went, this was actually before I really got introduced to third wave coffee, which was my introduction into different espresso machines and different types of beans. So I went down the bougie route versus the mushroom route, right? Which was just more about flavor. And also drinking organic coffees as well, and things of that nature.
Got it.
Which one do you drink?
I'm always different flavors. It's like whatever mood I'm in.
So I'm a dark roast kind of full body guy. I drink my wine like I drink my coffee.
So those would be
But if there's an experience as far as cognitive
I think
stuff,
you should try either one of these.
Then that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do.
So this is more of a mild, sort of a medium roast.
Yeah.
You can still have it like bold, and because you just.
I'm going to try the king because I feel like a king.
There you go.
So I'm going to try the king for sure.
King status.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And then one of my last guests, his name is Brendan Talbot. He is an osteopath.
Yeah.
He's finally one of the reasons why my back is starting to rehab.
Cool.
So I've got 3 herniated discs, L4, L5. No, 2. L4, L5, L5, S1. And do you want to hear how it happened?
Yeah, I do, because I have a similar issue.
Ugh.
I'm assuming not in the gym.
No, of course not.
All my injuries were never in the gym.
Yeah. I don't know if the people know, but they don't know, because I haven't gone full on this is my story.
Yeah.
So I don't think I want to do that right now.
Yeah.
But I was working, and a coworker was having a temper tantrum, and I was literally just minding my own business, and he kicked over a full row of lockers, and the whole row came down onto me, and then herniated. Like, just, I was done. They had to get like 4 guys to come pick up the whole row of lockers, and I was fucked.
How long ago was that?
8 years ago.
8 years
9
ago?
years
Oh
ago?
shit, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so anyways, he's rehabbing my back.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. He's got like, I don't know, 2 million followers on TikTok. And
Oh wow.
yeah. But he's helping me, finally.
That's cool. Good.
Anyway, so he told me that what you do is when you...
I saw this.
Did you see it?
I saw your clip.
Yeah. So you just quick little shot of cold water.
Yeah, so the
and
temperature.
then you put in the hot water so you don't burn it.
Burn it, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. So tell me when.
I'll say when.
And do you want coconut sugar, monk fruit sugar, or jungle honey, or maple syrup?
I'm gonna go with none of those.
No, I'm a black guy as well, but some people like...
Yeah, no, I'll go black, yeah. So I actually don't do any carbohydrates in the morning. I start eating carbs usually after 3 p.m.
Perfect.
Which we'll talk, if you're interested in
of
talking about
course.
that, why I do that.
I'm gonna go with a king, because I haven't had a king in a while.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh yeah. Yeah, so I absolutely love coffee. I you know what? I fell into coffee. I had my first coffee 9 years ago. So
Your first coffee 9 years ago?
Yeah, by accident. I was doing competing in bodybuilding at the time.
Right.
And I would get up to do fasted cardio. So I'd get up at like 4:30 in the morning to go do fasted cardio. That was part of the protocol.
Right.
And I would just get like a green tea or something. I wanted something hot in the morning at the winter morning. One morning they gave me a coffee and I drank it. And then at Tim Hortons.
Okay.
They just gave it to me by accident. And I was like, oh my God, it tasted horrible. But then I was on the treadmill and I'm just like pumping, loaded with, that was my first introduction to like caffeine, right? I'd never really drank much caffeine. So I was like, this is great. So I started drinking coffee for caffeine. And then I kind of started to participate in buying some different coffees, try Starbucks and stuff like that. And then I was in Hawaii and I met a guy that's a big coffee fanatic. And he took me to my first Third Wave coffee shop, which I...
So Third Wave, is it like a brand or a
Yeah, no,
franchise or
Third
something?
Wave is a type of coffee. So First Wave would be like Folgers, grocery store
Like
coffee.
bottom of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel.
Okay.
And then, and this, if you research this, you'll see there's a
don't.
whole world, yeah. Second wave coffee would be like your local coffee shop, or maybe a Starbucks at one time would have been probably second wave. They probably lost that status and closer to a first wave.
Right.
Second wave would be like your regular coffee shop. They like have a nice $30,000, they're pouring you a nice espresso shot. It's a good quality bean. It's probably hand roasted locally.
That's second wave.
That's second wave. And then third wave would be like, this is very small batch. It's organic. It's probably coming from like Costa Rica or somewhere like that. Yeah.
So these guys want me
Yeah.
to be their Canadian distributor.
Okay.
I probably should blank their name.
Yeah.
Because it might happen.
Yeah.
And they're like a premium.
Yeah, so they're probably like a third wave. And then the next
so
step.
Cool. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, if you'll research it now and you'll see there's a whole world out there. Like, which I love that about in any industry, in any facet of life, there's like people that take everything to the extreme. And I fucking love that.
Right.
But with third wave coffee, it's about the bean, but it's also like how much what's the temperature of the water, how much weight of the bean to the weight of the water.
Yeah.
And then there's all these different ways, like whether it's a pour over, it's espresso shot, or it's, there's all these different things they participate in. So it goes to the extreme of like from the point that it's grown, the soil that it's grown in, how it's picked, how it's roasted, how it's shipped, how it's preserved, how they grind it, and then how much weight, the temperature of the water. So it just goes, I never went that, but I know a little bit
I'm
about
starting
it.
to see it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like just these guys and their setups at home.
Yeah.
You got to rinse the filter first.
Yeah.
this.
Like it's to the extreme, right? Some people take
So
it
you
to,
are...
I would say I'm in the middle.
Okay.
Right? Like I'm to the point where I would pass on a lot of coffee if it's not like for you. I kind of laugh because you're like, oh, I'm going to make you a coffee and you come down. Don't get the Tim Hortons. I was like, don't worry, brother. I'm not going to bother, right? Like, so I have like a Breville machine. They're like $1,000 espresso machine. It's nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But it makes a wicked shot of espresso.
Sure.
So if I made you a coffee, you're like, that's going to be one of the best coffees you've had, right? As far as flavor goes,
Yeah.
depending on what you like. And
Well,
I'll participate in different beans and.
Let's see how this is.
Yeah, for sure.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
And cameraman, you got to make a choice too. Which one do you want? The king as well. Okay.
It's unbelievable though how tasty that is
It's
for
not
like an
bad for
instant coffee.
coffee.
No, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just around coffee in general, like you can speak about it for flavor, but you can also look at it from a health aspect, right? Of like, I think you can have people drink coffee for a lot of the wrong reasons.
100%.
I love coffee first and foremost, like for the culture and the flavor. Like I love coffee shops. I love the smell of it. I love the taste of it. You know,
And you're
first,
new, kind of. Like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not like I grew up anything. Like to me, coffee was, but I kind of fell into wine the same way. So I drink wine on Saturday nights,
Okay.
right? But I was introduced by an old business partner of mine. He has a family farm in Bordeaux. And so they're very familiar with wine, right? So he kind of like introduced me to the world of wine. Mm-hmm. And he was a very successful person. So he introduced, when I first stepped into the wine world, there was quite often, you know, anywhere from $100 to a $10,000 bottle of wine was not uncommon.
Yeah.
And I was learning about wine. So like when I was like, oh, wine, like it's not the best. But then you start to learn about the culture and you start to learn about like their traditions of it coming from Egypt and then into Italy and then into France and then like how they grow these roots and the vines and
Since we're going black, cameraman, you're going black too.
black on black.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Okay, so you started to really educate yourself on wine.
Well, just like, you know what's funny about it? So yeah, I read a bunch of different books on wine about like how they actually end up with the flavor of it and the tannins that are in the grape.
Mm-hmm.
It's all, what happens is the vines get older. Once they get 70, 80, 100 years old, you get this big stalk, these tiny little grapes that have like very low sugar.
Okay.
They're like super bitter and they have a big tannin on them. That's where you start to get this like old, like full body, earthy type of wine flavor.
Big aged stocks.
Yeah. Small grape.
Small yields.
Yeah.
Small yield or
Yeah,
big
small grape, big thick skin with a lot of tannins in it. It's exactly. So it's like it wouldn't be something you'd want to eat, right? But it ends up making this. But what I ended up learning through that process is wine and coffee. It's not about how much it costs. It's like it's all down to the consumer of do you enjoy it.
Sure.
But like with wine too, like the new era of wine, a lot of it they don't use the same practices. So like a lot of it has mold and all these different things. So like the old school wine is a lot healthier for you, right? Like
Sure.
the old world wine. So
Yeah.
I think coffee, you could look at it from a flavor perspective, or you could look at it from a health side. So I buy from a local shop called Hamleys. He learned to roast like 25 years ago in England. He went there and trained with a guy and came back, and he's been doing it for like 20 years locally, and he does all the small shops. And so, you know, he's a nice guy. I like to go support him. And so it's good flavor, but there's also a point where like the bean was brought in, he roasted it himself by hand 24 hours ago. I'm like, if there was any antioxidants existing in coffee, it's in this coffee, right? So like, I try to walk that line of flavor and, you know, try to go as healthy as I can with it. And if we're gonna get a coffee, like if we go somewhere and I'm gonna search for a local coffee shop and see if there's somebody, go support them and try it. So yeah, so I dig coffee.
So, and for me, as a practitioner, I try to get all my clients to stop drinking coffee for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You can imagine the feedback that I got from that.
Of course,
Like,
yeah.
No chance in hell anyone's going to give up their coffee.
Yeah.
So then I was introduced to, one of my mentors, he introduced me to another doctor who's on the board. And he's like, Brendan, if you want more compliance, better results, then you got to do this coffee and at least get them to switch to a healthier coffee. So then I did, and I've been with the company ever since. And I'm not a coffee person. Like, I can go without.
Yeah.
This is more so for me just a social
thing. Yeah.
But I do like the aspect of fasted cardio, autophagy.
Yeah.
You know, drive that, use the benefit of the coffee to rev things up.
Yeah.
So
I would say I probably am. It's funny, I just had this conversation yesterday. I probably have like 3 coffees a day, all compacted from about first one around 4:35 a.m., which is probably not the best time. We know but I just enjoy it, man. Like I get up and I have a liter of water with Celtic salt, and then I have a coffee, and then I usually have glutamine, creatine, and about 500 mils of water and a little bit more salt, and then I'm off to do usually either zone 2 or zone 3 cardio.
Yeah.
And then I'll have another coffee afterwards, and then I usually have another one around 10 a.m. and then I'm done for the day.
You know your body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you do it to your advantage. Other people will wake up because they got to go to work and they're
The pounding coffee, yeah.
5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they're 4:01.
Yeah.
Then they're in the office.
Yeah.
That's the wrong way to do it. You're doing it for functions.
Yeah, and I literally enjoy it. Like, and I have no problem with even being decaf. I would do a decaf too if I felt like I was over consuming caffeine and it was having an effect on my adrenaline, then I probably would.
But I made a post on this. This is probably one of my most viral ones, and I forget the compound that they use. Let's just call it like a chlorine. This is like, remember when Trump was talking about hydroxychloroquine and I was like, oh, he's talking about bleach.
Yeah.
This is probably one of those videos where like, he's talking about bleach. But no,
Yeah.
it's a compound similar. But what they'll do is they'll sweat the coffee beans in that bleach-like compound.
Yeah.
So it totally sweats out all the caffeine.
Yeah.
And then they rinse the beans back. Some would say that, the chemicals from that bleach are gone.
Yeah.
And others would say that there's remains.
Something, yeah. I honestly wouldn't know. They call that a Swiss water, right? That's what they call it.
Is that what they call it?
Swiss water? Yeah.
I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah, I think that's what they call it, a Swiss water. I don't know much about like the process of how they decaffeinate it, but I usually keep caffeinated and decaf beans at home in case someone comes over.
Yeah, but you're also,
or if I want
doing
one,
your research and you're buying.
Yeah, I'm buying good
quality
coffee,
ones.
good quality coffee. So and I think there's something to that. I think if you're going to drink coffee on a regular basis, it's worth spending the few extra dollars. Like, well, here's an example. I bought that Breville machine 6 years ago. It was $1,000. I probably saved $15,000 in Starbucks. And if you come to my house, you're going to get one of the best coffees you've ever had. I enjoy it, and I can put different types of beans and change the grinds and do all these things. And then I go buy a high quality coffee bean. I don't know. I'm probably I don't even know. Maybe I should probably do the math on it. Maybe I'm 20 cents or 30 cents for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And it's premium.
Well, think about it. Like, you're drinking out of. Welcome to my house. Everything's consumed in
in jars. Yeah.
But like, you're drinking out of a mug or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're going to Tim's or Starbucks or anything like that, you're getting all the phthalates and the BPAs, from those plastics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The coating in the cup. Oh, God knows what's in there. And drink it through a plastic lid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's shoot a podcast.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Cool.
I'm excited.